going to be going over how to buy retail real estate for under 500,000. Believe it or not, a lot of people think, commercial real estate's expensive, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Hey guys, my name is Matthew. I'm a commercial deal junkie. I'm a commercial real estate investor and broker based out of Southern California, but I buy commercial property all over the country. So this is simply me going to Craigslist and creating a filter here for under 650,000. The reason I did 650 is that you can negotiate the price down to that 500 mark. And there's actually quite a few options here. Now, I will have a word of caution at the end, so please stick around to the end on how to do this carefully. But is commercial property more expensive? Yes, but it doesn't have to completely blow the budget. The reality is, when I decided I was going to transition from apartments to retail, I actually started with a really small property that cost me $300,000, believe it or not. And I'll go over that property in a moment. But the point is that commercial property doesn't have to break the budget. You can start, if you want to get your feet wet with retail, you can start on a cheaper deal and then move up and graduate into more expensive deals, better locations that are going to cost you a bit more. So this is one that I pulled up before I started this video, 449,000 in Tucson, Arizona. It's this building here, it still has leases on it, triple net leases. You're paying 21 bucks a square foot. So these deals, they exist. So if for some reason out there, everyone thinks that retail properties are going to cost so much more, they're going to be really expensive. For the most part, but you can actually get them for the price of a duplex, for the price of a single family home, for the price of a quad out there. They exist. This is another one right here on Oliver Ave, which I actually used to own a shopping center on Oliver Ave that was really cheap. And that's actually one of the examples here of properties I bought under 500. My first two commercial properties actually were both under 500. My first two retail properties, simply because I wanted to learn the retail game without breaking the bank. I wanted to start with something small, get comfortable with it, go through a couple transactions first with smaller price deals before I really upgraded to higher priced once I got comfortable doing value add with cheaper retail properties. So the first retail property I ever bought was actually 8510 State Road 52, or what I like to call Pyramid Plaza. It's a 4,500 square foot shopping center in Hudson, Florida, right outside of Tampa. This is what it looked like after I renovated it, but this thing was ugly. Let me show you. 8510 State Road 52. I'm sure Google will still have yep, that's what this thing looked like when I purchased it. It was completely vacant, by the way. Don't let these names get in the way. And interestingly enough, the Google car came right after I did the parking lot. So the parking lot looks new, but when I bought it, it definitely didn't look like that. And now I have 3 out of the 4 units are occupied. Let me actually show you what the building looks like now. But I bought this building for $300,000. Excuse me. I put about $150,000 into this building, and then now I have it back on the market for $750,000. Now it's not completely done yet because I still have one vacant unit. So I filled up. I got a smoke shop, I got an insurance agency, and I got a pawn shop. And I still got one more tenant here that I still got to fill up. I've been very picky with the tenants that I put in my building, but as you can tell, this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. So I bought it for 300 grand. It was listed at 400,000. I made an offer for 300,000, and then even after that, I got a seller financing. I got a $200,000 seller note. I put $100,000 down. I brought another $150,000 to renovate the building. The price isn't disclosed here when I purchased it, but I purchased it for $150,000. And then you can see here, seller financing note, first mortgage, $200,000. Seller carried that note. It was listed at 400, but that's not what I bought it at. And then now I have it back on the market at 750. I'm probably gonna have to fill that last unit before I'll actually be able to offload this property, but I have it listed on the market right now. I also have it listed for lease. I still have 1,000 square feet available, which is that last unit here, 1,000 square feet. So I'm gonna fill up that unit, and then I'm gonna probably sell this thing between 750 and 800 once that last unit is filled. So that's just an example. This is a $300,000 shopping center in Florida. It's in Tampa, or it's outside of Tampa. It's in a city called Hudson. So Tampa's down here, And then Hudson is like 30, 40 minutes outside of Tampa. Clean the property up. So you could do value add real estate. This was my first retail deal. Before this deal, I had done nothing but value add apartment buildings, 3 units, 4 units, 10 units, 20 units, where I'd buy the building, clean it up, sell it. But then the competition was getting too high. I was having trouble finding well priced apartment buildings. So I transitioned into retail. I heard there's a lot more opportunity in retail, there's less buyers, it's a lot easier to get stuff at a discount. So I found this deal listed at 400, made an offer at 300 with seller financing, and then I got it, locked it up, cleaned it up. And it's about to go full cycle. It's not 100% done yet. Now, the next one I bought, I actually did go all the way full cycle. This is 1650 South Oliver Street, which is what I was saying is on the same street as this one. So I bought this property, believe it or not, for $280,000. It was a 5,000 square foot, 5,030 square foot shopping center, built 1980. Um, I bought it right here for, sorry, $290,000, not 280, $289,000 to be exact. And then exactly 1 year later, I bought it October 2024. I sold it September 2025 for $400,000. Again, it's in Kansas, which is another non-disclosed state. So, it's very rare that you'll actually see the pricing, but I sold this thing for 400 grand. And this is what it looked like when I bought it. And then this is what it looked like when I was done with it. So clean it up, put maybe 20, 25 grand into here, redo the parking lot, um, clean up the monument sign. I put a sign for the tenant here. The tenants were paying gross rents, so the landlord was responsible for all of the expenses, as well as the rents were really low. So the only thing I did with this building, other than redo the parking lot, fix this roof here, paint the building, the only thing I did was convert the tenants from gross leases to triple net leases, means on top of their base rent, they pay for all the expenses. And I also raised the rent to market. None of the tenants left. This is why I was able to be in and out in 12 months. I didn't have to release any of the spaces or do anything like that. So this is what the monument sign looked like when I was done with it. So bought it for 290, put 20K into it, sold it for 400,000. Literally 12 months later, I spent literally no time on this deal. This is the photo I put up when I sold the property. Spent a couple $100s here to get some potted plants out here. I redid the parking lot, restriped it. Some of the tenants didn't have signage, made them put up all their signage, and it took me 12 months to the day to get this property sold. The reason I waited for 12 months is because the tax liability drops significantly after 12 months. So I held off on listing it until that 12 months hit. And then this right here is just a transfer of title. Literally a month later, the owner transferred it to a different entity. That's this right here. But I bought it October 2024 for 290,000. I sold it September 2025 for 400,000. So you can buy lower price property. You really can, retail property. So if you want to get started in retail, but you're worried about the price point, you can start cheaper. But word of caution, there are a couple things you got to keep in mind when buying cheap retail property. There's a reason it's cheap. Yeah, it's probably going to be smaller. It's probably going to have weaker leases, but there's probably a handful of reasons why this thing is cheap. Let's go back to Craigslist here, and we're looking at some of these listings. So the first reason something's going to be cheap is probably location. If you look at all these cities, none of these are going to be primary or even secondary cities. You have Mount Morris, Mississippi, Whitehall, Mississippi, Macon, Georgia, Waynesboro, Tennessee, Albuquerque. That's actually not an awful market. It's a tertiary market. Stevenson, Alabama, Gailing, Mississippi. So you need to make sure that the property is located in a place with demand. It has traffic on the road. It's okay if it's in a small city. Wichita's a small city. It's okay if it's in a small city. But there's got to be strong traffic on the road. It's got to be a growing neighborhood. So this is the other one here that was on Oliver Ave, which is where I own the other property here. So you need to keep an eye on the location, just because location really matters with retail real estate. So you got to make sure you're going to be able to either keep the tenants that are there or release it if the tenant leaves. Which brings me to my second point, the tenants. You're 99%, if you're buying a property under 500,000, you're going to have weak local tenants. So that means these are tenants that likely live in the neighborhood. They operate, just that business, maybe a couple of them. Like if we go back to the Oliver plaza here. It's kind of hard to see, but these are probably going to be your local smoke shops, your local hair salons, maybe a tattoo parlor. They're going to be local tenants. So you got to keep that in mind when you're buying this. These aren't going to be credit tenants, but that doesn't mean you can't make money on the deal. Okay. In many cases, I actually find that local tenants in many cases they've been operating there for 10, 12, 15 years and they're not going anywhere. Just because they only have one location, two location, three location doesn't mean that they're going to get up and disappear. You can actually, work with them to clean the building up and take the rents to market and they're not necessarily going to leave. The other thing is the age of the building. Chances are you're not going to find anything that was built in the last 20, 30, 40, maybe not even the last 50 years when you're looking at this price point. Like this is a 1948 building. I guarantee you this one, I don't know if they have an age here, but it's going to be an older building as well. Yeah, I don't see an age here. But these are going to be older buildings. You're not going to find a 2010 build. You're not going to find a 2020 build. Probably not even going to find the late 1900s. So chances are, like, let's open up this one, see if Crexy has the age of 2000. Look at me, I stand mistaken. So it is in a weaker market, but yeah, this was built 2000. So the opportunities are out there. You just have to go out there and you have to hunt. You have to go out there and you have to, okay, this building, what kind of leases are on it? What kind of traffic is it going to get? How's the market? Is the market growing? It's okay if the market's small, but it needs to be trending in the right direction. And last thing I'm going to mention, a word of caution, make sure that you have reserves for these properties. Because they're older, you want to make sure that the mechanicals have been upgraded. By mechanicals, I mean the ACs, the electrical systems, the plumbing, all that stuff. You want to make sure they are either A, in good shape, or B, have been changed. So, and on top of that, you also want to make sure that you have reserves for the property. You're saving money that you can use in the event that you're going to have to change out one of these mechanicals. They're not cheap. I mean, to rewire a building, you're talking about a lot of money. To change out an AC unit, especially for commercial, which is one of the bigger difference between commercial and residential, is that an AC unit can set you back 10, 12 grand, unlike 4 to 6 with residential. So make sure you do your inspection report and you figure out what your reserves need to be. You negotiate aggressively on the purchase price, but you can buy retail property under $500,000. And I proved that with my first two buys. And then once my first two buys went well, one of them, the Florida one, I was able to clean it up and add value and lease it out. The Kansas one, I purchased it, stabilized it, cleaned it up, sold it at a profit in just 12 months. Now I was like, okay, now that I understand it, I understand the leasing. I understand the asset class. Now I can go out and buy more expensive properties. That's when I started looking at, $1 million plus retail shopping centers. And I used the profits that I made from some of these deals, some of my earlier deals and my multifamily deals that I sold to go out and start buying bigger retail properties. Retail is definitely more complicated than multifamily. Multifamily operators are probably going to, go crazy for me saying this, but even though you have fewer tenants, there's more complexities. Like traffic matters. The leases are much more complicated. But you can go out there and find decent deals in that 500,000 or less range. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys are looking for well-priced property, go out there on Crexy and CoStar or LoopNet and start making aggressive offers on these properties and lock something up in that range. Anyway, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow along and check out some of my other videos. I talk a lot about my journey from starting in apartments and moving into retail and growing a real estate investment fund. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.